Hey, everybody, you can see our countdown and you can hear us.
7, 6.
Color commentary with the countdown. I'm sure people are watching it saying, I didn't even know you could do that.
I didn't know Randy could count backwards. Oh, dear.
Okay, here we go. Well, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Assessments and Insights. I'm West McDonald, and I'm here with Randy Dazo. And for those who haven't met us before, Randy, maybe you can get a little background on who you are.
Yeah, I'm Randy Dazo, Chief Strategy and Operations Officer here at Keypoint Intelligence. For those of you who don't know Keypoint Intelligence, where have you been for the last 60 years? We are actually two companies that make up Keypoint, actually more than that now. But in any case, we are a consulting, advisory, testing platforms, e-commerce, coding platform, do lots of things. And in addition to that, we also focus on artificial intelligence.
Yes, and one of my absolute favorite partners on planet Earth. And myself, West McDonald, founder at GoWest.ai and partner at Algoraic. Both are AI-related providers, one for assessments and insights, kind of like what we're talking about today. And the other, Randy, which you've seen as well, sort of injecting AI into the promotional product space, which is really cool.
Very cool.
And so where are you joining us from today, Randy?
I'm here in lovely Fairfield, New Jersey, which it's raining today, unfortunately, and it's getting colder. But I'm still wearing my Hawaiian gear just to keep myself warm and happy.
I know we didn't inform our guest, about sort of the Hawaiian theme, right? But
That's okay.
yeah, and let us know where you're watching from. So we've had people from all over planet Earth join us on the show here, from the UK, from France, from the Arab Emirates, you name it. And of course, I'm joining you from Canada. So I'm right across the water from Buffalo, on the border. And for those that haven't seen me before, you will hear some Canadian words, come out of my mouth, so apologies ahead of time. Yeah, so let us know where you're watching from in the comments. We'd love to hear any comments or questions as we go through. Please share those as well. We'd love to hear from people. And maybe one of the things that we'll do is we'll get into a little bit of the news that's sort of happening, right? And this is pretty fresh off the news wrap. Maybe you can talk about it, Randy.
Yeah, I mean, NVIDIA announced their third quarter fiscal results, and, as we probably could have guessed, they blew their numbers away year over year. They're up by, 98%, 94%, 12% from the last quarter. So, I mean, this is what's really behind all of what AI is actually doing today. The power of it is all being run or, really built on, a lot of NVIDIA's technology. So couldn't have really guessed that it wouldn't be anything farther from what they've done so far. So they're on fire.
Yeah, it is absolutely crazy, right? And when I looked at it and saw that, they're up, what was it, 35 billion, I think.
Oh gosh, yeah, 38 billion, I think.
Yeah, 17% up from Q2, right? So
there you go.
If anyone thinks that it's a fad,
35 billion. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyone still thinks it's a fad. So we do have someone joining us from Chicago. So welcome from Chicago, Mr. Greg Walters, in lovely Florida. So enjoying some sunshine in the Sunshine State.
There you go.
And look, there's my favorite, Mr. Ski. How are you? Looking very colorful, gentlemen. Yes, we are.
Try to.
And joining us from Fairfield. And we got Todd Curtis joining in from near Stonehenge. So there you go. That's officially our international audience. Yeah. And, speaking of audiences and different things, right, that Randy, you and I have worked together, solidly. I can't even count the number of years now, but obviously most recently over the last year, specifically with artificial intelligence in the office equipment channel. And one of the other partners that I have is actually an MSP, which is serves clients in that space for, different things. And such a thrill to actually get him on today. So 1 second. Looks like we got one more coming in, James Steele from snowy Manchester. So we got a couple from the UK, which is great to see.
All right.
It is the evening there. So thank you for taking time out of your evening to listen to us. And without further ado, I'm going to bring in Corey. Hey, Corey, how are you?
I'm good, guys. How you doing?
No complaints at all. And super happy to have you on the show today. And maybe you could, for the audience, just as we've done, sort of introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, man, I didn't get the memo on the shirt. I'm about to go get me a Hawaiian shirt now that I know that I'm hanging out with you, Wes. So that's what's up. So forgive me for that, being out of attire today. Again, everybody, my name is Corey Kirkendoll. I'm an MSP down in the great state of Texas in Dallas, and we're a managed service provider. Been doing it now for about 16 years, and so I'm excited to hang out with my partner Wes and Randy today.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's great. And I know, one of the things that I want to talk about, like, the MSP channel, as we both know, has really struggled with trying to find its identity in the age of AI, right? Like, what do we do? What do we provide for our customers? How do we service them, right? And you've gone in, with both legs head first, you name it, right? And maybe you can talk a little bit, because you and I do work together on CompTIA's Artificial Intelligence Advisory Council. And as the vice chair, tell me a little bit about that. Why did you, decide to go down that road?
Yeah, I've been a member of CompTIA and against over several different councils, from the managed services, cybersecurity, and they really lead the forefront of really trying to drive and bring the research on how AI is going to be leveraged in the community, from an MSP to end customers as well as our partners. So when I decided about a year ago to really get into it, I'd say, hey, I got to be where everybody else is. I got to go hang out, right? So birds of a feather flock together. So we were struggling with the AI Council for getting members. I mean, I think we started out with probably like 6, and then it started to grow, and then now we got more members than we we want to shake a stick at. But one of the biggest things is to be able to sit in a room with other AI. I'll call them masters right now, because that actually you can see it from many different industries, from the vendor side, development side, from GPT side, from everywhere that's doing it, to really get an understanding of kind of where this thing is going. This AI thing is mind blowing, because by the time we get off this meeting, it has already changed by 20 times, right?
Oh, I was going to say that too. Yeah, like, how do you keep up and get your members informed about all the different changes that are happening minute by minute? It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny, Corey, that you mentioned that early on it was difficult to get members, right? And not the case anymore. I mean, it's crazy the number of people that we have serving on that council, doing the good work.
Yeah.
And like you, I've been involved with CompTIA for a long time, and I haven't seen this kind of. I mean, we literally, through CompTIA, the work that you're doing, it's through the birth of an entire industry, right? That this,
for sure.
Think of generative AI, at least anyway, that this is something that's really brand new, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of the funny things, we had our planning call that we had, and probably about a year ago, we put together actually maybe 6 months ago, we put together a glossary of terms for AI. And we're rewriting it now. They say it's supposed to stay up for about a year. We're rewriting it now. By the time we're finished, we've got to rewrite it again, because it's changing that fast. And I always like to joke, right? Especially when I'm hanging out with Wes, right? Since I've been hanging out with Wes, I used to have a afro. See, AI is blowing my hair right off the top of my head. It's how fast it's moving, right?
Oh dear.
It's so funny when you think of some of the terms, right? Like the stuff that is coming out, like agentic AI, right? I mean, that's something that, a year ago wasn't really a thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even RAG, right? Like I remember the first conference I was at, and somebody started talking about RAG, and not the rag that you clean up oil with on the floor, but the retrieval augmented generation. All of these things that continue just to kind of boggle the mind, right? All of the updates that the providers are doing in their solutions, etc. Right? And so let's see what Greg has to say here. So how do you keep up? Great question and an answer. Greg, grwalters.com, the Greg Report, absolutely. So if you haven't subscribed to the Greg Report, Greg is one of the best in the industry for making sure that we're getting our news, that we're seeing what's happening, what's trending, kind of changing, etc. Right? So. And it looks like he gave us a laugh out loud too, and that was probably for blowing off your afro or whatever. That's talking AI. So, and hey, for everybody, we appreciate the comments and joining into the conversation. So, please continue to do so. Lots of people have told us where they're from, but go ahead, fill that in too. We've got some people from the UK today, all over the world, and any comments and questions as we go along. And back to you, Corey. So. One of the things, like you and I actually this afternoon are delivering an AI proposal to a client, right? And Randy and I have done this many times together. And, I just wonder if you can share the insights into that, sort of what motivated, you to look at partnership, what kind of things in this collaboration do you see? And And how do you see that it'll enhance AI adoption, maybe amongst other MSPs too, right? Because you're definitely
It's funny how the MSP industry has evolved, right? We went through where we didn't like projects. We wanted MRR right away, and then it would eventually turn into where we wanted to go. I think what's happening now is that it's going to have to shift us to what I used to be like. I didn't want to be was a programmer, more in software development, right? And so since I have that background, what's really cool is it allowed me to start thinking how software development is made, right? It's a project, you build it out, you say how it is, and you kind of get into this agile or waterfall method and say, how do I keep improving it? And that eventually becomes that recurring revenue stream that you're going to get. But you got to get in there and say, let me solve the problem, a simple problem. And then once you get a chance on it and then I water it, it just continues to grow. But the cool part about that is for the stuff we were talking about, how it's changing so often and where it is, that means that they're going to need somebody to maintain that, right? Because the engines are changing, how I do it and where it comes from. And I believe that that is where the recurring revenue and support comes from, which changes the mindset of how MSPs move forward today, because it's usually, hey, I come in here, got a set of tools and I'm managing it right away. I shy away from projects because I can't run my business based off projects. What we're going to have to see is how do I bring those projects in, continue to nurture them, and eventually it becomes that recurring revenue that we always thought about. And it's going to be the quality of clients versus the quantity of clients, because this is a whole new pricing model, a whole new reference model and everything. And what I always like is AI is something that the MSPs have been looking for a long time, because it's that shiny ball that's tangible that people can see. And anything that's holding it up, they're willing to step over it, spend it, buy it, shop it, invest in it to get that shiny ball. So if you don't have a strategy to give them that shiny ball for securing it, for developing it or putting it forward, then you're going to be left out, because that next MSP or that next developer is going to come in and they won't be your customer anymore, because they're just going to take them away from you because they want that shiny ball. So whatever you've been holding up to of data analyst, data classification, security, hardening, whatever that is, all those projects that you were holding on to, AI opens it up for, because they want that shiny ball and they'll do whatever it takes to get it.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? When you think of some of the clients that we work with, I mean, who in the world would have thought, in the not-for-profit space, right? And just how important it is, for every kind of client, and that these needs to give them more time back, to give them more tools at their disposal, to be able to do work faster, to do work better. It's universal, right? And I know that Corey, you can talk about your cybersecurity practice, right? And I don't know how an MSP could offer a kind of a cybersecurity practice without paying attention to shadow AI, right?
Exactly. And that's the key part, is that, from being around it for a while, we still have conversations today of how MSPs have found it very, very complicated to have cybersecurity conversations. They know they need it, but there's nothing that says, hey, I got to have it, or really what I want to do it. So they're saying, hey, we're too small. We don't really need it. I can wait on that. I can do those things. But again, this is that AI conversation is that, hey, I need it. So I know I need to classify my data. I know I need to do some things I need to get done. I know I need to go and train and put policies and procedures in place. That is the conversation to open and move that cybersecurity conversation forward while paying attention to what's happening in an AI perspective. Because again, you think about it, an insider threat is me taking my information and feeding into a GTT that's not protected. That's cybersecurity 101, right? We know you got to take care of that right off the bat. So you got to have those conversations and move forward.
Excellent. And hey, listen, if you don't mind, guys, we'll take a couple seconds to look at these. We've got two of them that came up. Greg was asking at CompTIA, what's on the horizon, certs, and how the heck do you get an agenda course when things change so quickly? Yeah, and that obviously CompTIA is in the news because, they are, for part of what they do, owned by private equity, at least coming up. I'm not sure, has that gone through yet? Has the deal finally, sort of happened?
But not yet. So they're in their, I think they're in their quiet period. They kind of working out. I think you'll hear more at the beginning of the year, but you're correct on that one.
Yeah. And certainly for the certs, that's what they're interested in, right, Greg? So those have always been kind of, good money makers. And I know that CompTIA, when I did see the news, they said that for the philanthropic work that they do, right, giving money to organizations with this new structure, they're going to give 10 times as much money to organizations as they were before. So, yeah. So stay tuned, Greg. It's funny, although we're on the AI Advisory Council, we're not privy to, some of the changes that are happening there, but, certainly we'll stay tuned for that. James Steele came in with, I'm not sure most MSPs are ready to take this on properly. Analyzing requirements, building custom applications, etc. Do you think partnering with a specialist is going to be the route for most? Of course, selfishly, I say yes.
And I'll promote that. That's kind of why we're on this call today, right? Is I do believe that is going to be the case as you go forward. If you don't have those skills from an application development and where it comes from, it behooves you to partner with those who are the expert to learn to give the best product to your customer at the end of the day. It's a different mindset. It's a mind shift, right? It's a very different conversation, but it's definitely something that should be top of mind from that perspective.
It's kind of funny, and I'll speak to it a bit. And it's kind of, and believe me, I did not plan this, right? Having two partners on today, but the model works for us, right? And what the conversation I have sometimes with MSPs and others that are trying to look at it, the first thing they say is, I want a product I can sell. Give me an AI product I can sell. And my honest impression is it's the wrong question. It's the wrong approach because Corey, Randy, you both know, like when we're doing presentations for customers, we have like the AI solutions list that we put in front of customers is massive, right? That they have to make
changes.
And it changes.
Changing every day.
Yeah. If you're trying to solve a problem first, then those things will change, right? So that's number one. You will get revenue from those things and you will make money on those things, but it's not the primary effort. And I would certainly say that sort of what we do together, the assessments and the transformation partnership that we do with clients, it is a product. It is something that people pay for, and it's something that's absolutely necessary. And Corey, you mentioned it, right? That the glossary of terms is changing. So are all of the solutions that are available to help our clients, right? And that partnership through expertise does help. Yeah.
Oh, it is. If you don't mind,
I'm sorry.
If you don't mind, I'll share some of kind of what we talked about today with a partner. Like today, I'm just as excited as the client is, and I had some conversation with them. And Wes, we went over this earlier this week. I think what we're going to show them today and going into this nonprofit in just that little time of just showing them what the power is, it's going to directly change their lives almost immediately for some of the things that they've been looking for. And I think that's the key point is. It's really small changes, small things they can digest, and we're showing them versus telling them, and it's 100% relevant with them, with their data and how they do it, right? So it's not what we think of, oh my God, this is what's happening in the nonprofit industry for everybody. No, we're going to show them very specific things targeted at them, and that they can walk away from that meeting today. If we don't do anything after the assessment, they could be successful to go and get started and grow forward. And that's what's really been cool today. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's funny, Randy, you and I have been through this too, right? When we've actually looked at a solution set when we're working for a client, and how your eyes just pop open because we see things magic that we haven't seen before either, right? And Corey, at least most recently with this one, when we were going through the two scenarios, which we won't talk about, but which we did go through, you can remember that we're both just like, wow, just the power that AI, when it's used to solve a problem, just what it can do, right? And if we didn't have that problem statement first and understand, like you said, specifically what that client's looking for, you can't do that, right? It's it's pretty cool.
And I know that we give a lot of different options and things like that people can actually work on. And, the list is extensive of all the areas that they can actually improve. It's really about prioritizing where they really want to, improve their operations, and then figure out, what's going to get, the biggest bang immediately as well as long term. You got to look at all those different things, but there are so many different options that they can choose from. One thing that, to answer also the question that someone had before was, hey, you know what? For those, MSPs that are out there or anyone else that's actually interested in learning more, I know that CompTIA, has this program too, but, we can help in consulting and getting people started in that as well. I mean, we do sell our own assessments to, help your own organization, but, learning how to do these assessments and being able to do these yourself and making recommendations on how, your customers can improve are things that we can also help as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing that too, right?
So make sure you head over to obviously Keypoint's website, and don't forget as well to make sure that you head over to 5K and visit them as well and look at their kind of additional services, right? And
I would recommend that people actually go through this assessment themselves, though. Eating your own dog is so critical to really see and experience, the power of AI and how can it improve your process. And that's what we do internally, and we are using it every single day. I mean, and now working with all these solution partners and evaluating them ourselves and making recommendations on what types of solutions, work really well is another thing that we're doing here. So, and there's so many. And it's not just about the solutions too. I know that one thing that you recommend, West, is, what is their financial backing? You don't want to be recommending solutions to people, that may be out of business. And I've seen several of these companies, really good software companies, come in and out of this market so quickly.
Yeah, you raise a good point, Randy, because I mean, think of where you are at Keypoint compared to a year ago, right? Like there's literally not a thing within your organization that you're not trying AI to help with some function. It's absolutely bonkers, right? And you raise a very good point, and that is that it's so volatile right now that one of the things that we always do with clients is at least make sure they go in with their eyes wide open, right? So to say, look, at the time, and you both know, Corey, Randy, like Gamma, right? Like it's a great application. It is, anyone out there, if you haven't used Gamma for PowerPoint sort of development, it blew my mind. Randy, I remember when you introduced me to it and I was a skeptic because every other PowerPoint thing I'd looked at was garbage, right?
It's cool.
Gamma is cool. Gamma.
It is good. It's very good.
It's crazy, but they may not be around in 9 months either, right? And I'm not, this is some of the risk taking that we have to take, and it certainly doesn't mean don't try, right? And that some of these solutions, the good news is because they are very, I would say tactical. Tell me if that's the wrong word. Because they are solving such a specific problem, that there will be another option, and it will not be. It's not like an enterprise rollout to be able to learn whatever that new option is going to be down the road, right? Because it's going to happen.
But you're feeding into that conversation about why an MSP is relevant to the company as they roll out these solutions, because a end customer cannot keep up with that change like we can, right? And be able to move and adapt quickly. Because what I like about this, you should always have a good, better, best. But if you're in it and having these conversations, you should always be paying attention because of where it goes. Man, like you said, NVIDIA, we already knew that they were going to take off and change the game, right? But 98% increase, that's ridiculous, right? I'm like, man, can I turn back is there an AI tool to turn back the time so I can go buy some stock and then go forward again, right? It's like, should have got more.
We talked about that, yeah.
Well, here's what I will say though. I would have never in my life imagined NVIDIA, like honestly, back in the day when they were primarily, and this is like a short time ago,
gaming,
known as a GPU for gamers, really.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And now like every data center, oh my God.
They are now the biggest, richest company in the world, as what I understand. So yeah, it's just incredible. It's crazy, really, really crazy.
Yeah. Well, and shame on us. We should all have a lot more stocks in it than we do.
For sure.
And listen, we are starting to run on time. So what I do want to ask is, like obviously 30 years in the IT and cybersecurity sectors, right? This challenge, do you think that they're up for it? I know you said earlier it's that they've had difficulty, but what do you think? Are they all going to be as progressive as you? What's the verdict?
Sometimes I think the MSP industry can be similar to like governments, right? We move slow unless we really, unfortunately, just have to, right? I think it's going to force the change and then do it. Those who get it is going to get on board and move forward. I think you have to do it and do it. Even in the case where we see a lot of MSP, we struggle with marketing, we struggle with sales, we struggle with a lot of that stuff. If we haven't started to take that into our own businesses and leverage AI to solve some of those problems, and one of the things that we come up with is, on the AI Council, we use this a lot, is that figuring out how to take that digital labor to do some things for almost free, and then move that physical labor, that human resource capital, to something to do something more productive. That is business 101. That is an easy game changer that takes your MSP from average to better, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, regardless about trying to sell anything, if we haven't figured out how to leverage these technologies into our own organization and business, then we're already missing the boat from that perspective before we try to sell something, right? And that's what we've done. And we've been very aggressive on leveraging the technology for ourselves, on solving the problems that we have by better case notes, better documentation. I mean, I was just on a call. We record every call, it transcribes, it automatically spits out to us and says, here was the call, who was on the call, here's the things that was discussed, and here's the 3 things that you need to follow up on. Drop that in a case. We just improved our efficiency and customer sat by tenfold by just doing that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's the stuff that's really cool. So we have to really get on that side. So there's some little things there's some little things that you can change but make big impact. And we have to go out and do that. And that's for every MSP to go do that.
Well, I'm glad you raised that. And Randy, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say, as you said, you know, this is the game-changing technology, and it's evergreen. It's kind of like security. It's going to change every single year, and you got to be on top of this thing. And it's the right time. And, you know, as you said, it's not going to end. It's an iterative process of really looking at what you have today, looking at how, you know, the new solutions that are going to be coming out tomorrow. And there's always going to be opportunities for these guys to have this as a subscription for, you know, themselves, for their customers, that again, it's like security. They're going to need it every single year and be on top of these things. So it's that next game-changing thing, just like what you're doing with security.
Yeah. And one of the things, you know, when you think of the pace of change for that, I love, and Corey, you're probably not aware of this, but some of the work that Randy does at Keypoint, they're now actually testing these AI solutions and creating videos so people can get a lay of the land for what they really can do and what they can't do, and you know, those kind of things, right? That it's so important to work with people. Anyone that's watching, any of us on this call, this is what we do, right? Like, we're, you know, really focused on AI. If you have any questions and, you know, want to move on it. And of course, I'll put up Greg Walters' little shameless plug here again. Who loves you, Greg? Yeah, the grwalters.com, gregreport.html. So make sure you get out and check that out as well. Greg did have one last comment. He said it's about when we were talking about the NVIDIA thing, right? It was all about gaming and taking the video processing off the main CPU. Yeah, which I would have never thought was a thing. So although like NVIDIA doesn't take me by surprise anymore, just how central the GPU was going to be in this whole generative AI world, that did take me by surprise, right? So pretty neat stuff. And listen, in respect for everybody's time, we are at the bottom of the half hour. So Corey, I cannot thank you enough for joining us. For anyone who wants to learn more about what Corey and his folks are doing, visit 5ktech.com. Of course, we'd love you to visit us as well. Keypointintelligence.com to see all the exciting things that they're doing with AI. And my humble page, GoWest.ai. Go West, young man, young person, young anyone. And looks like, oh yeah, there we go, Greg. He is a big gamer, so.
All right, Greg.
Yeah. And thanks a bunch. And Corey, we're going to put you on the spot, but we always have a tagline when we end these things, right? And actually, just let me get rid of my self-serving banner. As I always say, until next time, keep learning. And Randy?
Stay curious.
And Corey?
Time to get on the game.
Yeah, get on the game. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.